which was kind of what we did at the beginning when we wanted to roast this sheep. Mm-hmm. And it was officially a sheep. She was 90 pounds.
That's right.
She was a big girl. Mm-hmm. That was the first animal that I was fully in charge of roasting, like Lauren said, 7 or 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that was, I had help from friends, and we did it at our church, which has a pretty robust firewood ministry on the island. So the firewood, the fuel was close by. And we were using this cross, which is basically a pipe with holes in it, and 2 crossbars, or transepts, if you will, that are adjustable. And they have little Allen wrench screws that can be used to affix the transepts at various levels along the pole, to accommodate the size of the sheep or goat or venison or even pig. And I basically remember searching Google Images and showing those to my friend Drew, who was the blacksmith. And I said, we just kind of patched one together. And he basically added all the cool elements, the adjustability, the flexibility of it to be able to accommodate different size and weights of animals. That was all his idea. And it works great, and we still have it to this day. And it is a roasting cross. So one of the basic methods of asado, is cooking over fire with a cross, kind of at an angle, and butterflied, and so that the sheep is made as flat as possible. And you can make it even flatter by butterflying it under the shoulder blades, because with any spit roast or whole carcass roastery, the main challenge, the challenging spot, is in between shoulder blade and rib cage. That meat right in there, and along the top of the neck, the nape, and then right at the hip joints, right around the pelvis. Those are the thickest areas, even on a pig, a sheep, or whatever you're roasting. And I feel like the mark of a successful roast, one that I am truly deeply gratified by and utterly exhausted by, is when that meat is pullable. It's spoonable, it's completely melted through the long, low, slow application of heat. And so I had that in mind at the beginning when we first started roasting at the parish. And it took about 14 hours, I think, for that 90-pound. And she was a fatty, man. We spent a lot of time just melting fat. And we used a lot of firewood. And we got there the night before, and I think we started roasting at like 2 a.m. or some crazy thing. So no sleeps, and lots of beer and coffee simultaneously all day, which is just a great way to take care of yourself when you're roasting in the hot sun, is to drink lots of diuretics and dehydrating things, which we'll talk about later too. I had to learn the hard way to take care of myself roasting, because it is such a gesture of magnanimity. You're just like, hey, let's party for 14 hours nonstop. Right?
Yeah,
It's like,
I know.
no. Take it easy, cowboy. Yeah. So that was fun. I remember roasting that. I remember it being a revelation when we felt the heat penetrating all the way through the sheep. That was a big deal. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think you can go on our website and see a video of this. If you go on farmsteadmeatsmith.com and you look on the education tab, and then you look under film, and this is not just in the membership, this is available to everyone. I think there's a video called Merciless.
Oh yeah, I've
Feast.
posted it already.
Yeah,
it's on one of the other episodes.
Pretty sure that was our first one.
Yeah, we'll post it again.
Okay,
yeah, that was absolutely. We camped all night that night. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We had one child, so or I think we had 2. Yeah, a baby.
Which means we still don't sleep all night, but it's not necessarily as voluntary as that was. But so that was kind of our first foray into whole animal roasting.
And it was excellent.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it.
And
we were blown away too. I mean, we had no idea. We were just stepping into the unknown there.
And the way we made it a full feast, and which is kind of the effortless thing, not effortless, it's very effortful, but simple. It's simple.
Right.
Was you made your flatbread.
Oh yeah.
And there's huge steel it was the rest of the cooking setup was basically cinder block, which is awesome. And we'll try to talk about kit too.
Yeah.
I guess we just will as we go. But
yeah.
cinder block is great because of its flexibility, and it's cheap, but it is super impermanent because the heat dehydrates it and the blocks crack. So you'll just be replacing blocks annually.
So that's another reason why we're interested in it right now, is because we've been doing this for 6, 7, 8 years, and it's great, but it's also taking its toll. Like we're in our mid-30s now. We're not just
we're old
20-something anymore. So I know. Give yourself time.
Yeah.
Low and slow.
Do.
Make the meat fall off the bone.
Yeah.
Invite lots of people.
It's awesome. It's the ultimate gesture of a feast.
It is. There's something very just human and, like we said, angelic at the same time about it.
Yeah, it's carnal and it's refined. I don't know how that works.
I know.
But it is. It's like the closest thing to just eating meat raw off of a carcass lying on the ground.
Yeah.
But then it also has the capacity to be incredibly refined and delicious.
Yeah, and what it does to a crowd too is it makes them feel more like it makes us identify with both our animalistic nature and this rising above it all, because we're together. Where it unifies people. It has this ability to bring people together. And
it's almost like a microcosm of cultural evolution or something.
Right.
It's like you start with just the carcass. You're from just gnawing raw meat off of a bone, or meat held over on a stick over a fire. And then you actually journey through human history to culture, which I mean, I don't know any better distillation of culture than culinary preparation. Like the
how we
extent we go to make things not just palatable, chewable, and metabolizable, but like superfluously delicious, just way over the top. And roasting an animal it encapsulates that whole thing from, just clawing it off of bones all the way to a Michelin star experience, completely, utterly refined with pairing things and a profoundly delicious event.
Yeah.